I noticed that photographers are lacking moving their light and getting different positions of the main light on the subject. So I'm hoping to show you some different things, positions you can put with this light to produce different patterns on the face. So on this segment, we're going to take you through some of those positions. So the first position we're going to talk about is split light. Split light is when we split the face in half with the main light. So if you can see, my main light is over here to the side. I'm going to lower it down so it's pretty much, as far as the height of the light, it's pretty much within the nose or the head. And we're going to put the light to the side, so as you see, as it's forward, it's lighting both sides of the face. Now this is a no-no when your main light's down too low, when it's up here and it's making a nose shadow, because this shadow is going horizontal. And you're going to see when we're not in split light position, you want to make sure that that pattern of that shadow from the nose is coming down to the lip. So in split light, you can't get any light coming over here from the main light. So we're going to back the main light up until you see this eye go dark, and then you know it, you have it in the right position. Now the reason you do split light is that you're getting light off the nostril over here. This lady's got a beautiful face and a beautiful nose, so we're not showing any corrective lighting techniques here. We're just showing positions of light. The next level from here is when we get into corrective lighting. So if you're kind of wondering, why is there split, short, broad, Rembrandt? Why are these different lighting patterns available to us? It's actually to correct the face or change the face. So every one of these different patterns of light you put on the face will either make them look better or worse. So this is split light. We've split the face in half. Now, Chantel, can you turn your face? Yep. Now when we move the light in the face over to this position, when you're looking into the camera that's seeing her, this is called short light because the shortest part of her face is lit. And you can see from our view over there where this light is placed. Now, as she brings her face back this way, good, and we move the light forward, we get into broad light. Split, short, broad are all the same thing. So now bring your face back into split position. Perfect. Let's back this up. Now, from this camera angle over here, you're seeing short light. If you walked over into the center of the room and looked straight at her, that would be split light. Okay, now sometimes if you just change your position, because you note now from this position over here, that's short light. Now from the center camera, that's split light, and if she just turns her face a little bit, that's short light. Now, turn your body that way, and now we're into what we call broad light. So broad, because the broadest portion, you can turn your face a little more, the broadest portion of her face that's lit is at the camera's seeing. So short, broad, split are all pretty much the same. Okay, now turn your face back this way. Keep turning, cool. Now we're going to go into butterfly position. So I want you to see that I'm going to take the light now and I'm going to raise it up and I'm going to tilt it down and I'm going to put it dead center with her face. Okay, now we note that under her nose is a pattern of light in the shape, a pattern of shadow in the shape of a butterfly, and that's why we call that butterfly light. And what's nice about that light is it'll make the sunken cheekbones bring the face in. Now we move the light over to the side and we go into modified butterfly light, or what some photographers call loop lighting. Just about every studio in the United States does loop lighting, and that's basically where the light sits and never moves. So we're going to take it into a couple other positions past that. Now we're going to take this shadow from the nose and we're going to move it toward the edge of the lip. So that's what you're kind of reaching for. So we move it over there, we lock it in, we get this beautiful triangle patch of light over here, and that's what we call Rembrandt lighting. Rembrandt had a hole in the ceiling and the light came down and produced this beautiful triangle light. Now we can go a little bit this way with your body, in your face, yep. And that's what we call Rembrandt broad. Now we're broad lighting her. Remember, this was broad earlier when the light was down low. Now we're taking it up higher and putting it into broad Rembrandt. If you go to the museum and you look at paintings, just about all those paintings have broad Rembrandt on them or broad lighting. So it's a very popular light. Now we're going to take this whole scenario of what I just showed you into finessing the light into the same positions. So let's go back this way. Let's start with split light. Now we're going to get into a little bit of control with our light, and you can see that this light I'm using has barn doors on it. And what's nice about barn doors is that we can control the light and watch where we're placing the light. In a portrait of the face, you don't want the ear as bright as the main light part of the face. It's better if the ear is as dark as the shadow side of the face, because the ears are not supposed to project. Highlights project, shadows recede. So when we have our light in split light position, as you can see right now, her ear, her face is both the same brightness. So there's no real tones. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this barn door and we're going to feather the light. Feather the light is when you aim the light off center, past center, and you use the barn door to control the light. Skim it off the shoulders. We're going to also take this light and we're going to rotate it to get some of the light off the shoulder. See how I'm moving that with this barn door? See how the shoulder's bright and see how it's dark. See how the ears is bright as the face and now it's not. So we're going in there and we're finessing the light. Finessing the light means we are feathering it, controlling it, using barn doors to take this to a whole nother level. And you can see how I've controlled that light. And the fall off of that shadow is just into the front of the face. So there's split light with control and finesse to it. Now let's turn your face this way. Good. Sit up a little bit more. Shoulders back just a little more. Good. Now we're going to take the light into short light position. We're going to bring it back here. I haven't raised it. I haven't lowered it. I just backed it up a little bit. Turn your face a little more. Chin up, eyes up, right about in there. Now, as you can see, as we have this light here, again, I'm going to feather it, skim it off the shoulder, finesse it, and make sure that that light is not as bright on her ear and her face. And look how just that little bit of control will help beautify that light so that this side of the face is not all washed out. When you look at a photograph, you want it to go dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, all those little tones in there. When your light's just a wash, it's just a wash, and you don't get any dimension of any kind of form or roundness in there. All right, now let's go back this way. We might as well do the broad light because broad, split, short are all the same thing, and you're not really raising your light, you're just moving it. So now your eyes got to go to your right, just a little more that way. Nice, perfect. So again, we bring this light in here and we feather it off the ear. And you don't want the light getting over into that other eye, so you just back it up, feather it off the ear, and there's broad light with some finesse to it. Okay, now turn your body just a little bit more. Good. Bring your face back, keep turning. Cool. Now we'll get into Rembrandt lighting. So we're going to take this light, we're going to bring it up, and what are we watching for? The only really true way to look at lighting and figure out what pattern of light it is from the shadow from the nose. I could put this light in any position I want on her, and if you looked at her eyes, it would be hard for you to tell exactly what position it is. But the biggest giveaway is the shadow of the nose. And what we're doing with that shadow, like I said earlier, is try to get that shadow to come to the edge of the lip. So once it touches the edge of the lip, you know you're in Rembrandt position. And then you can bring the light up somewhere right in there as long as you still have the catch light in the eyes. And again, this shadow from the nose you don't want going into the eyes. So when you go to make this triangular patch over here, watch where that main light falls so that it doesn't make a shadow into the eye. Then once you've got that, you're going to go and feather that light, get it off the shoulders down there, and put that into Rembrandt with control so that the ear is dark and you've got that finessed. Now, one thing you don't do with Rembrandt light is let your subject smile. So do a big smile. Let's just see what's happening. When your light is up this high, you're going to produce shadows under the eyes. The best light for anybody with any kind of bags, this person here, Chantel, does not have bags under her eyes, but if I put the light up too high, I might end up making them. If you're looking for the position of the light that does retouching for you, it's going to be split light. because split light's down so low, it's not going to put any lines in there. So again, be careful of that. So we're back into, okay, stop smiling. You don't want anybody to smile with Rembrandt lighting. Just keep that in mind, because the light's up so high, it'll make too many lines and wrinkles on the face. Then we bring the light over here into butterfly position, but we're going to take it to another level. And then also the other thing you got to think about again is the axis of the light. Where's the brightest portion of your light at? You don't want the forehead too bright. And then we're going to come in with the barn doors and barn door that down, and look how beautiful that light can be. And look what we've done to her cheeks. So let's look at it with this, and let's look at it once we've brought that down and made those cheeks dark on the side. So if you have a subject that has a little bit more of a rounded face and you want it to look more slender, this position of the light can really help that part of the face. So we've taken you through butterfly, we've taken you through Rembrandt, we've taken you through loop, we've taken you through split, and we've taken you through broad. So the only thing we really need to do now, broad, short, split, is broad Rembrandt. So let's go this way. There's your broad light, and let's do a broad Rembrandt. This is when we bring it up. Again, feather it off the ear. And again, you're going to know when you have the light feathered is when the ear is just as dark as your shadows. Okay, so now we've taken you through some lighting patterns. So now let's take you through lighting patterns with more lights on so we can finesse this even some more. Next thing we're going to do now is take a table and bring it in so that our subject has something to lean on. So you can put your arm on there and then rest your other hand on there. And the next thing we're going to do is just get a little diagonal position out of the shoulders. So what I'll probably do is lower this table down. Yep, and then all you got to do is bring this shoulder up a little higher. So it's a basic, yep, good. So now in composition, these are called dynamic angles. And anytime you get the shoulders from just being straight and you get them to kind of angle into that, you're going to produce some beautiful dynamic angles to give yourself more of a triangular composition. Okay, now turn your face, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. Okay, cool. So now you're going to see me actually take a photograph here with 4 or 5 lights and watch how I adjust this whole thing. Okay, so I have our subject here, and she's got a tough outfit on because she's got bare shoulders, so it's going to be even more of a challenge for me to darken up all those shoulders and make sure that lighting goes right into the face. Now turn your face just a little bit more, and there's a couple things when you're going into positions of the face that I should probably tell you, and that is you have a 3/4, but when you turn the face, turn your face, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. If the nose, don't let the nose come past the cheek, because then the nose will stick out too much. So you want to just keep that, yep. Now we're going to tilt, yeah, good. Okay, eyes pretty much a little more turn. Okay, good. We're pretty good there. Now before we actually do that, we're going to add a couple other lights so we can see what those lights are doing. So let's add in a hair light. Now I have a hair light up here, and this light has a fabric grid on it. And when I'm doing head and shoulder people, I don't use a strip light because it's just going to light all this too much down here in the bare shoulders. So I've adjusted this strip light so that it's just going to light the hair and not the shoulders. So let's take a look at it. If it's down here like this, aiming straight down, all the light's going here. And she doesn't really have a lot of hair there. All I just need is a little bit of light up in here. So the closer the light is to the subject, the less fall off. Remember, light in close falls off fast. And then we're going to take this part with this fabric grid in here, and I'm going to tilt the light up off her shoulder, and we're going to get it just a light in here. Can you kind of see that? How we've adjusted that. Then we're going to come in with our light behind our subject, and we're just going to get a little detail in the black back here. So I'm just going to keep this light. I normally don't put the light right behind the subject. I normally keep it over to the side so there's no chance of it ever showing, and then I feather it a little bit off center, and that's the position of the background light. Now we're going to come in with another light. This is pretty much a show-off light. This is called the kicker light or accent light. And the reason why I took the main light off is that it's critical when you put this light on that it doesn't touch the nose. This light's just supposed to rim the face, and if they had a dark outfit on, it can make a rim light along the dark outfit. Since she's bare shouldered in here, I'm going to avoid getting any light there. So this kicker light's got barn doors on it too, that can control, and you can spin the barn doors to keep it off the shoulders there. And now I'm going to back this light up. See, it's on the nose. See, it's off the nose. And then we've angled her face just enough so I'm not lighting up the ear. So you might have to turn your face a touch more. And now that I've turned her face a little bit more so her ear's not lit up over here, we're getting a little spill from that kicker light. So I'm just going to move it just a touch more. And again, I've rotated the barn doors, keeping the light off the ear. Now we're going to pull in another device that every studio should have in your studio. This is called a head screen, and this right here was invented for people that have bald heads like me to darken up the bald head, but I'm going to use it here to darken up her shoulder a little bit. So can you see how I'm doing that? So that little bit in there, and we can darken that. Head screen, gobo, and we should be able to still sneak some light back in there, get it a little closer to the light, we'll get a little more control. Nice, doing good. Okay, now your eyes will go right with your nose. Over here I have the fill light positioned, and the fill light is opposite the main light. And the position of this fill light is to come in, and what it's going to do is put just a little shadowing under the jawline here. Turn your face just a little more. Put a little shadow on here so you can define the chin from the neck. But what you don't want is that fill light, like if she smiles, smile. If your fill light's over to the side too far, like this, sometimes you'll see a photographer put a light on one side and a light on the other. What'll happen is you'll produce pockets of light in here from her cheeks that are going opposite directions. So it's very important that once you've got your fill light, you can put the light as close to your camera as you can. And that will produce that beautiful fill that you see on her face right now. Now, the reason that most photographers don't do split, broad, and short is because you have to have a fill light. Now we're going to come in with our main light. Now that we've got our hair light, our rim light, now we'll come in with this main light. And again, we might start with a loop light, but then come in, let that go right to the edge. Get our barn doors. Remember, watch the axis of the light. Make sure your hot spot's in the right position. Feather it. Use your barn doors. Knock that light down. You can use this edge of your barn door to let raw light out, because at the final step, we might take just a touch of a reflector over here and let some of that raw light go into that reflector just to clean up a little bit of this light over here. Now when I come in with my reflector, I'm going to bring it forward enough to where I'm not lighting that ear up again. So it's very important that you watch your reflector. And again, if you watched any videos of mine, you'll see that the bottom of your reflector is always a little bit forward because that light's coming down. So we're going to come in with that reflector. And your reflector, depending on the material of your reflector, if it's a soft one like this, it's 2 times the distance from your subject as your main light, and that'll just give you a little insurance policy that your shadows have beautiful detail in them. Let's feather that light, and let's take a few photographs. Now we take a look at the results of split lighting, and we can see how the face is split in half. In this next photograph, we see the results of short lighting. The shortest part of the face is lit. And now we look at broad lighting. The broad side of the face has the most amount of light. Now we look at butterfly lighting on the face. And remember, that shadow under the nose should not touch the lip. Now we've moved the main light over and we've produced modified butterfly or loop lighting. Now we've taken the main light and raised it up into Rembrandt position. Now we've taken the main light and moved it to the opposite side and produced broad Rembrandt.